questions. I'm lucky enough to talk to now 10 millionaires every week, but you have a unique skill set. Both video number one, you are a builder of luxury and first-time home buyers. Video number two, you are an entrepreneur. Your story of a truck and a toolbox made it in my second book, 15 Conversations with Millionaires. So I'm going to ask you to put on your entrepreneur hat. Not that you ever take it off, but let's put that one on specifically. And I want to talk to you as an entrepreneur, an experienced entrepreneur, somebody who coaches and helps other entrepreneurs get started. I want to ask you, what do a lot of people kind of almost have overconfidence on when they get started, and equally maybe some things that they are too concerned about when they get started? Because I think a lot of folks, when they enter entrepreneurships, they probably are overconfident here and they're too scared over here. And there's a mishmash of things going on. What do you think?
Yeah, it depends on the individual. It's all over the map. But, with a lot of people, they think more about the problems and the hurdles than they do the goal that they're trying to achieve. So the best thing to do is, think about the problem you're trying to solve, get after it, and then the other things will take care of themselves. But a lot of people just think about all the little different things that are the little roadblocks that might be in their way, or things that they have to do, or hurdles or whatever. And then, like you said, on the other side of the coin, a lot of times people will underestimate what they're actually capable of. And you've heard the saying where, most people will overestimate what they can do in a year, or underestimate what they can do in 5 years or something. I can't remember what the saying is, but
overestimate a year, underestimate in 5.
Yeah. At the end of the day, a lot of people underestimate what they're actually capable of in the long term, because most people can't think, long term in that way. And then you have the other side of the coin where people are just overly optimistic and way overestimate their capabilities, don't understand their limitations. Therefore, they don't know how to fill in the gaps with their weaknesses and their limitations. But I'd say, the biggest thing is people focusing on what can stop them, which is limiting beliefs, versus focusing on the problem you're solving and just getting after it and providing solutions.
Yeah. One of the things that's similar about our background in this respect only is for the last 10 years of my career, I managed first or second line sales teams. And I always looked at a sales leader as an entrepreneur, right? You own these 10 accounts, you own this patch of dirt, you own this whatever. And it's your job to extract a certain amount of revenue. It's called a quota from that area. And the entire organization, right? Everyone around you, from product engineering to marketing to customer service to all of them, they're here to help you, but they also can be a distraction. Let me explain. Right. When you're a salesperson, there's no lack of people trying to help. And what I've always told sales teams, right? Because again, I got on stage and I spoke to teams, is I want everybody in the room that doesn't have a quota to think about this. Every sales rep in this room has a backpack. And in that backpack, the first thing that goes is my quota. They have to deliver $2 million in 12 months, for example. Now, I know all of you want to help, and you want references, and you want to get customer support tickets, and you want to get maintenance renewals, and you want to do all these things. I want to ask everyone else around this, are you adding rocks to their backpack, making it harder, or are you actually making it easier, right? And the reason I bring this up is because what I see a lot of salespeople do, and I must have worked with over 1,000 of them, is, and I want to ask you this as an entrepreneur to see if it's the same. Some salespeople get focused on being busy and don't focus on what actually drives revenue. So they come to all the meetings and they got all these other people doing all these amazing things, but they're behind on their quota because they're not doing revenue generating activities. And I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs who get distracted in being an entrepreneur and system and processes, and they forget where the hell's the revenue coming from. So is there that kind of distraction or not really?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you're talking about is just people don't want to pick up the phone and call, so it's just they're afraid of rejection. They have that resistance. A lot of it too is your network, people that are around you, and other people that don't think what you're doing is possible because they haven't done it, and they'll try to stop you. So, listening to other bad influences that can stop people. But for an entrepreneur specifically, not focusing on the right things when you're starting a business, which again, the right thing is, focusing on the problem you're solving. And as soon as you can, filling in the gaps so that you can give away all the little things. As an entrepreneur, you're a creative visionary, somebody who has to get after it and think. You're not necessarily the guy that needs to be filling out spreadsheets, right? So you can get distracted, doing order fulfillment, customer service, all these different things. When what an entrepreneur is a leader, a visionary. You're supposed to be building the team that can solve the problems that you lead down the field. So, the analogy I always use is a head coach of a sports team, right? The head coach's job is not to play every position the players are doing and all of that. The head coach is to lead the organization. They've got assistant coaches, and then you've got the players, and you've got all the support around it. So for a lot of entrepreneurs, they get so bogged down in the details because they can't let go. They don't know how to let go, and they don't know what systems to put in place. So you need people, you need systems, and you need, the ability to execute and focusing on the right KPIs as you get going along. So that's getting a little deeper than what you're asking, but at the end of the day, depending on what people are doing, a lot of people just don't want to do the work. They just get distracted by other things. They just don't want to do what they need to do, which for sales, it's picking up the phone. For an entrepreneur, it's finding the right people and letting go of that control and delegating and, filling in your weaknesses instead of, trying to build on your weaknesses. Delegate that out, focus on your strength, and then get after it.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things when I look at entrepreneurs, and I bring up entrepreneurs because I think there's a lot of real estate investors, whether it's wholesalers, flippers, of that ilk, that have had it really easy the last 2 years. And I'm already hearing from many of them that are pretty stressed out, right? They've already burned through their savings. They maybe have too many projects going on. They're going to lose some money on. And when I kind of talk to them one-on-one, they got high on their own supply. They didn't realize the market made them. And two, they seem to have put layers between them and revenue, right? They're playing like master operator, but they're not actually in control of the revenue anymore, and they wonder what's going on. It just seems like there's a lot of pain coming to some investors who don't realize that the market made them.
Well, it's investors and businesses because, the cost of capital. Good point. So anybody who has to refinance anything, whether it's, corporate debt, whether it's real estate debt, whatever, that's number one. That's, there's going to be companies going out of business because they can't refinance their debt. There's going to be real estate investors that have properties that they have to refinance that's not working, or they have adjustable rate, mortgages that are going up. And then you have the ability to adjust and adapt to a changing market. And it's like I said, when it's going up, you lead the market up. Whatever you sold yesterday, you sell for 20% more today, you sell for 20% more tomorrow. When the market is declining, whatever you bought yesterday, you buy for 20% less today, you buy for 20% less tomorrow as the market is declining. It takes a while for that to go through the seller's heads. And a lot of people are fooled by, little market movements and things like that. And, but we're in a declining market right now. Real estate values are adjusting. So you have to kind of hold firm and hold to your guns, and you can't expect values to go back where they were anytime soon unless rates drop all of a sudden back down to 2.5%, 3%.
Yeah. When you look at entrepreneurs and you're coaching someone, I'm sure you're coaching lots of people. So, right, when you're coaching a new entrepreneur who's about to launch an initiative into a changing cycle, right? I think you and I always talk about good times never last, bad times never last. I think it's very clear that the good times are over for a little bit now. What are you kind of telling them to get right? Are you saying go hard and fast? Are you saying, hey, watch your burn rate in the beginning, have extra reserves? How are you coaching them as they get ready to launch into what, clearly could be a recession, and some are calling for either a long or a deep recession?
Yeah. So it depends on the market you're in. Obviously, you want to make sure that there is opportunity, in the market that you're getting after. But yeah, you want to be a little more lean than you were. We're in uncertain times in a lot of different ways from an economic standpoint. You need to understand who your client is, who your target is, what your market is, who your competitors are. I mean, there's a lot of things you have to be a lot more sensitive to now because the economy is contracting. People are pulling back on their spending in all levels, but at the same token, there's real opportunities out there. It's a great time to start a business in defense, right? Defense spending is going to go up and through the roof all around the world. So, I mean, in every environment, there's always opportunities. There's opportunities in debt restructuring. There's opportunities in, again, where are the biggest problems that you can solve? And you're going to have problems in every environment. And then you have to go where the opportunities are, where the capital is flowing into. But, in these times, you have to, well, I'll tell you what's over are the valuations that we've seen in the past. So like people that want to start something think they're going to get 20, 30, 40X. And I'm coaching people that are looking for exits. I've had to rein in their expectations on multiples because that has
Yeah.
changed because cost of capital has changed.
Yeah.
So, the deals that were done over the last 2 years, aren't being done right now, but they're still being done. You just got to, rein in that level or you wait. So, if it's an existing concern and they're looking for an exit, you got to tighten the range. You got to focus more on top line sales and earnings and reduce overhead, reduce that spending that was so easily prevalent in the last couple of years and those, exit expectations. So, that's kind of where it's at now, but there'll be opportunities, but it's just there's very uncertain times right now. Nobody knows what the outcome is going to be.
Well, we're going to talk about that in video number 3, kind of asked you to put your, Back to the Future hat on and talk about 2023. I'm looking forward to that. But when if I were to summarize Greg Dickerson, if I were to introduce you on stage, I would say something like he's generally the most optimistic. You see opportunity everywhere. That's kind of how I feel when I speak with you. Like, opportunity's out there. You just have to look for it. Maybe you have to look a little bit harder now, but it is out there. Kind of wrap this up for us and tell us where people can find you.
Yeah, gregdickerson.com. That's where you'll find the eternal optimism in all situations, but also very calculating of the risk as well. That's something I learned because it was up only for me before 2008. I went through 2008 and I learned it's not always up only.
It's not always up. That's right. I like that, calculate a risk. But again, I do think the slant toward optimism helps you be more creative. And that's what I think wins when the tide goes out, is being creative, because in the market we just saw, cash won. Cash was cheap, risk was zero. In the market that's coming up, whether it's restructuring or this or that, being optimistic allows you to see creative ways. And I think that's why you and your students are going to crush it. So, Greg, thank you so much.